Okay guys, today more AmigaBASIC and VSprites and patterns. Right here, I drew a little ghost, a white ghost, and here is some basic code I wrote just to demonstrate loading it in. And I've built up some AmigaBASIC routines to do all kinds of things with the bobs and sprites, and the most recent is to change the VSprite colors directly. So right now I'm just loading the VSprite from a file, but if I re-export that, then let's change the color here. So if I change the white color, let's make it red, and if I export this, and let's see, right. So we're going to override the existing file, and this should update the VSprite colors to use the new updated color. And let's see if that worked. So I'm just going to stop my demo and rerun it again. It should read the new file now. And there we go. So that's one way of doing it. Um, but I'm going to set things back again and show you a different way of doing it. And it'll give you some more options. Okay, so back in here, and I'm going to go back to the palette and reselect it. It reloads the default colors, and let's export again. And if we go back, okay, we're back where we started. So I'm going to jump into VS Code now and show you. Okay, so I've written some code here, a subprogram called VS Palette that changes the VSprite palette directly. And I'm going to uncomment, let's see, just color one. So I have, update the file now and go back into the Amiga emulator and reload that. And let's see what happens. Okay, so now we see that we have an orange ghost, and the color was changed with the VS palette command. And what we can do even more is the same. So we load the vsprite into ghost string, and we change the palette, and we put it on the screen with object shape, these coordinates. We do the same thing with shape 2, using the same object, vsprite object, but let's change the color of ghost 2 now. And see what we can do. So now we have two different colored ghosts with basically one file. And This allows you to do the same technique whether you're creating a game with a spaceship or any other similar objects that the only difference is the color. So um, so this is a good addition to an existing array of commands I've already built up. So if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, um, I've written a lot of code to support the exporting of images from Raster here, and this allows you to do several things. This command can take an image from the image buffer here using the get image and turn it into a sprite, a bob. Um, Basically, you could go back and forth changing these objects and using them in a different type of ways using the put command. And you can save these to disk in the same format that Raster uses. And you could also extract the palette from a VSprite using these commands. So you could either extract it as a value from 0 to 15 or use the percentage method that AmigaBASIC uses with the palette command. So I've written two routines basically that do the same thing. And here's the command I've been using. Sorry. Uh, this is the command that I've been using right here. So VS palette changes the sprite palette. So even though it looks a little tricky coding, it just modifies a few bytes in the string to reflect the new color. And I've done the same thing with this command. So instead of using the built-in AmigaBASIC palette command, which again takes a percentage, you can use this as a replacement, which takes a value of 0 to 15. It might be easier to figure out values that way instead of using a percentage. All right, so next thing I want to show you is how to change the pattern. So right now I have this default pattern here that I created. So it looks like a little circle and a little square. And this is that code right here. So in order to generate this code, I'm going to show you what we can do in Raster here. And let's first we need to change the to color palette. Let's just go new. And we'll need to create something that's 16 pixels wide and either 16 pixels tall or 8 pixels tall. It doesn't really matter, but it has to be either 2, 4, 8, 16. I'm not sure if 32 works. I've only tested up to 16, so we'll do that. So I'm going to draw a few triangles here just to show that our new shape doesn't have to be squares and circles. It could be anything. So let's clip this, and it has to be 16. Okay. Let's just make it fit in those dimensions. let's just draw an ellipse. And that's 16 by 16. And I'm going to choose File, Export, AmigaBASIC Data, and we have to choose the AmigaBASIC Put format. And I'm going to call this P2. And now if we go into Visual Studio Code, open File, select P2 here. I'm just going to cut and paste this. And we need to delete a few things. So by default, the first three items have the width, height, and bit planes. We don't need that for the pattern. So the size is actually just 16 at this point. So if we go back to the top here, we're reading 16 elements, 0 to 15, putting in this pat variable and setting the pattern with the pattern keyword here. We're not setting the line pattern, so we could skip that. So that's why you see the comma. That's usually for the line pattern first. And this should give us a new pattern. So I'm going to reload the program again. And there's our new pattern. And let me just bring up our, so I'll try to make this, so we can see it's exactly what we created here. And that's all I wanted to show for this video. I'm trying to keep things a little simpler. The code will be on GitHub. You can play around with it. If you find any problems, let me know. And again, that's it.